Our first story, electricity consumers will from March 15 pay less for the electricity they use. Whilst residential consumers will enjoy a 17.5% reduction in their bills, non-residential customers will have their bills reduced by as much as 30%. A statement issued on Monday and signed by the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Mami Dufio-Fore, said the reductions are based on the Commission's gazetted 2015 tariffs and are only based on energy charges. So how much of this will impact on your bills? We will be going into that in a bit. But right now, let's take the statement from the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and it is dated March 5, 2018. It says the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, after extensive stakeholder consultations, detailed technical analysis of utility tariff proposals and consideration of inputs and concerns on consumers, has approved utility tariff reduction for various electricity customer categories effective March 15, 2018. The Commission received tariff proposals from the utility service providers in the electricity and water sectors, namely Ghana Grid Company Limited, Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, and Cliff Power Company Limited, EPCL, and the Ghana Water Company Limited. And it goes on to say, to detail the Commission's key objectives in the tariff review. And they are as follows: to ensure efficient and equitable tariffs, to ensure that the tariffs are relevant to the current socio-economic environment. And then it also indicates that the following are the major considerations taken into account in arriving at the tariff decision. 1. Consumer interest, investor interest, economic development, revenue requirements, natural gas prices, renegotiation of power purchase agreements, prudent and efficient costs of the operations of the utility companies. All right, so how much of this will impact on your bills? I have in the studio with me Alhaji Abukari Jabaru. He's a Director, Regional Operations at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. Thank you for making time to join us.
Thank you, Israel.
All right, so let's go into the details again. What were the considerations that went into this tariff review, especially at the time when the ECG was looking at an increase in what is due them in the service charge, and they were also, and Gridco was also asking for same, and NEDCO as well, and yet we're looking at a reduction.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. And I think government made a pronouncement latter part of the year and early this year, and they had a policy document that was a budget indicating a reduction in most of the tariffs in various categories. Beyond the pronouncement, they undertook some exercise, that is renegotiating, which is stated in the press release, renegotiating the capacity charges for most of the PPAs that were signed. And that resulted to 20-25% reduction in the capacity charges, because some of the plants that we had in Ghana with the same mode and specifications and models were relatively higher than other jurisdictions, so they had to look into that. The government, as a matter of policy, also took a policy decision to let most of the thermal plants run on natural gas. And natural gas price in the past was 8.8424 USD per MMBTU, and it has been reduced to 7.29 USD per MMBTU. These are policies that government undertook, but when the proposal got to us, we had to follow a procedure where we announced that people should make submissions, and Ghana General Association make a submission, GIMPA, Central University, we had Association of Ghana Industries, we have TUC, a various number of stakeholders made proposals. We interrogated them, gave them the opportunity, and later we had a stakeholder consultation after the preliminary investigation, which was aired via the multimedia system, and people aired their concerns. And because of what people had done and most of the proposals that we had to go into it. So we deal with real figures, we deal with the actual values. The utilities were making their proposal based on assumptions that if all things being equal, projections. But we had the opportunity to look at the financials, look at the projections, and look at what government has done. So most of the negotiations that were done, for instance, for instance, the capacity charge in the past was 5.51. We had opportunity to know that it was reviewed to 3.848. So that means that there was a great reduction. So government, having this information, made a projection that 12 to 14% will be a reduction. But when it got to us, we also had interesting interrogations, and we realized that something like distribution charge, for instance, we've had a lot of investment going to it, and GRICO has improved. So we thought that, look, we have to lower the bar for you. You have to meet international standards. So from 4%, we are now doing 3.8%. And this one alone, this drop alone, is saving Ghanaians 210 million Ghana cedis for a year. This is just one intervention. Also, in terms of collection rate, in the past, we were having 95% in terms of collection rate. Now, we are saying that, look, there are a lot of technology. Mobile money is there, banks are there, electronic payment platforms are there. So if you are billing 100%, and you still expect us to give you 95% collection ratio, then it is being unfair on Ghanaians because they have to pay for the gap. So we have increased it to 98. So they only have 2% left to that. So putting all these things in together, coupling with the fact that the customer growth of about 30% is also reducing the fixed costs and making the variable costs, bit spread evenly. Yeah. So these are resulted to some kind of windfalls that consumers are going to benefit. And if you look at the cost of service in terms of what was residential users were paying, somebody will ask a question, why is it that it's 17.5? They were already paying 60% of the service costs. The cost of supplying you a power as a residential customer, you were only bearing 60%, whilst non-commercial users were paying 120%. That is a 20% increase for what they were doing.
Now, you've stated a number of factors which is accounting for this reduction that you're talking about. Now, if we take the cost of natural gas, for instance, and we take the power purchase agreements that have been reviewed, have they been reviewed, or they are yet to be reviewed, or they're yet to take effect?
That is, you see, when I was making my introduction remarks, I did mention that we work with real figures. We work with the financial statement. We work with the various figures that we had. And proposals that were made by the utilities, even at a point, we had to pause because at the preliminary stages, the technical committee, chaired by one of our competent, commissioners, had to pause and ask you to go and supply the necessary documents. And that is the reason why some of them, it delayed, the process delayed.
So I just want to make the point again. Is it that the natural gas prices have been reviewed and reduced?
Yes.
So capacity charge reduced?
Yes.
So it's already taking effect. It's not as if this is going to happen in the future. Yes. All right. Now, one of the other factors that goes into, fixing the tariff has to do with Forex. December 2015, at the time that the last review took place, we're looking at the Forex, the dollar CD ratio or exchange rate of somewhere around 3.79%. Yeah. Now we're looking, and I'm using a Bank of Ghana rates. Now we're looking at some 4.41%. So that alone will mean that whatever you gave them back then, you gave the utility companies back then, would have reduced.
Yeah.
And again, have you factored in inflation?
You see, this tariff review, I must tell you that was one of the transparent and most engaging tariff review process. I say most engaging because the key players were involved from the process from the beginning to the end. And the exchange rate that we are using, you were quoting 4.42. The tariff decision was based on 4.43 because the decision was taken earlier and the revision was done on Friday because we had several scenarios for the commissioners to take a decision. And on Friday, when they took the decision, they considered the end of year inflation. We considered the current exchange rate. And we even stated in the statement that, look, moving forward, we are going to base religiously on the AAF, that's the automatic adjustment formula, so that we can adjust for some of these forex losses and we can adjust for these CPI differentials. So in any time we are going to have a major review, we will not have that big jump that will throw businesses out of gear.
Which is what your PRC has always said, except that they haven't really stuck to it religiously. Okay, so well, let's hope that this time is going to happen. And for the benefit of the viewers, the reason why I'm going on this tangent, and we will come to the various tariffs, the tariff structure and how much of it is going to impact on your bills. But it's important that we go through this process because a lot of the time when the utility companies ask for a certain review, upward review, and they are denied, eventually they would end up passing on whatever cost it is to the consumers in a way. Otherwise, it's going to end up in an accumulation of debts, which then we would have to pay through ESLA, for instance, which we're doing right now. We call it legacy debts, and then it's eventually the consumers that are made to pay. That's why it's important that we're having this conversation. So let's look at the residential consumers enjoying 17.5%. If I am consuming, or if I'm having to pay bills of about 100 cedis a month right now, does it mean that it is going to be reduced by 17.5% to the extent that my 100 cedis is now going to go down to 82 cedis 50 pesos?
I have happened to have interactions with this one previously, and I have indicated that the 17.5% is the PURC gazetted rate, which is on energy.
All right.
We have a fixed component, which is the capacity charge, and the capacity charge does not vary variably, because depending on your level of consumption, you will still have to pay the capacity charge. In that, we can't say because we are reducing tariffs, ECG should also reduce the number of staff they have. The staff will still have to be there. We can also say that we are going to reduce the number of monitorings they pay to your particular house to check whether you are doing illegal connection, or to come and read your meter if you are using the postpaid. So the service charge is something that is fixed, and we have indicated in the press release it's unchanged. We also have what we call the capacity charge. The capacity charge is for people who are running on industry, who have their own transformers. Let's take, for instance, you have a transformer which is 100 kVA. The transformer, anytime you want to run it to maximum, the capacity should be there for you. And ECG have developed an infrastructure to that end. And we are not saying that because we are reviewing tariff bound, because
that should also be,
that one should, because the investment is already
so
done.
In effect, there are a number of factors that will have to be looked at before you can arrive at whether the 17.5% is going to be impacting directly on my bills. Now, we will be coming to, we'll still be with us in the studio. We'll continue this conversation. But I have on, joining us via Skype right now is Ben Boakye of ASEP, Energy Think Tank, Executive Director of ASEP. He's joining us on Skype right now. Thank you for making time to join us, Mr. Boakye. So, you've heard the conversation so far, and I'm sure you're aware of the tariff reduction announced by the PURC. Now, should we be excited about it?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, yes, consumers will definitely be excited about the level of reduction that has come. We have been doing the numbers, and you were trying to question what the impact will really be relative to the dollar rate at the time that the tariff was given in 2015. And our analysis show that it actually ranges between 24 and 41% reduction if you convert the current tariff with the one that was given in 2015. So the impact is bigger than we are actually seeing from PURC. This shows two things. One could be that PURC is rediscovering itself, be more analytical than it has been in the past, to ensure that they are not passing on unnecessary costs to the consumer. And then also, another one also being that utilities will have to sit up to deliver and be efficient in the way they have been treating consumers. So we are happy, but again, we want to see the numbers as we are being told. They publish all the proposals that civil society and other players gave, but they haven't published what came from government and the variables that they used to arrive at the tariff reduction that we have. So we will want to see those numbers so we can analyze them critically to ensure that the sustainability of the sector was actually factored into the analysis. Because we don't want to smile today and come back worried in the next few years because the sector is indebted. Because if you don't do the analysis to ensure that properly, as we have been told, they renegotiated the tariffs. The price of fuel has actually come down, for which reason they're able to pass on that relief. Those things we have to be sure by analyzing the numbers that they have. But as we speak, we don't have the numbers. But be that as may, we can still say that this tariff makes Ghana a lot more competitive. We have done the comparison also with the sub-regional rates, and we think that this makes Ghana more competitive. Around 2016, when we did the analysis, Ghana's tariff for industrial consumers were around 32 cents per kilowatt hour on the average, whilst in the sub-region it was around 15, 13, and 17 cents. So with this tariff reduction, it brings the dollar rate to about 19 cents, which again improves the competitiveness of the country for us to be able to sell to the sub-region if we want to. So I think these are the factors that probably we're not told that they paid attention to, and I think it's good for us.
Now, one of the things we're seeing in this tariff reduction is the fact that the non-residential consumers are getting a much larger chunk of the reduction. So they're getting somewhere in the range of 30% as compared to 17.5% for residential consumers. Does that make sense to you?
It absolutely does. I mean, we have complained in the past that industrial consumers who are creating the jobs, who are producing the goods and services that we have rather been paying more to subsidize the domestic consumer who probably needs electricity to chill his beer or his ice water. And I think this trend reverses what we are used to ensure that we can rather cushion industrial consumers so they can be more productive, create jobs for people. And everywhere in the world, that is what is done. The reverse needed to come, and we are happy to see it. We could even do more than we have done.
All right, thank you very much, Ben Boakye. It's Executive Director of energy think tank ASEP. Thank you for making time to join us. Now, so let's come back to the tariffs again. The PRC was silent on lifeline consumers. What is expected to happen to them? Because we're anticipating the Energy Ministry or government had indicated that they were looking at the categories for the bands for the users. And so we're hoping that it was going to get to the point where they're going to, the lifeline consumers will get some relief.
Before I get to your lifeline, I will want to assure my brother that by the close of this week or next week, clearly we will have most of the details that he is asking on the website of the PURC. Like he did indicate, we've made sure that we publish all proposals that we had, and we're going to make sure the decisions of the commissioners or the reasons going into whatever decisions that came out will be made to accessible to people to do their own calculations. But just to answer your question, lifeline customers are also enjoying the same 17.5. The only difference is that those who are at the last end were paying more than those who were on the 50 band. This is a bit technical, but what I would want to say is that we have done a recalculation or realignment to ensure equity so that the service charge, because the service charge is fixed, if you were within the 50 band, you are paying the same as somebody who has consumed 2 kWh. That means that your fixed component will make your cost higher than the other person. So this time, we've made it in such a way that it is a composition cost. At the end of the day, if you are paying if you are using 2 kWh, you are going to pay a service charge equivalent to the 2 kWh, graduated up to the 50 kWh lifeline users. And that is what has been done So it's the same 17%, but those who will be at the tail end or who uses less than the 50 going downwards, descending, will benefit more than those. So they will feel much impact than the others who are at the top level.
All right, thank you very much, Alhaji Abukari Jabaru, Director Regional Operations at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. And we're not ending the conversation here. It turns out that we would have to wait for the Electricity Company of Ghana to come out with their reckoner, and that's going to indicate exactly how much you're going to pay depending on your consumption. We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin. Family of Major Mahama, the soldier who was murdered at Dentro Boase in May 2017, want more persons tried for the crime.
Close to 50 people, the law says it's only 14 people. We would have expected that the trial, everyone who was seen in the video to come and explain his or her presence there. That's what we would have wished.
And as the Food and Drugs Authority awaits results of tests done on samples of corn flour believed to be linked to the deaths of 6 persons at the Wotu Region village, some relatives of the deceased are threatening to resort to use of spiritual means to exact vengeance on whoever may have been responsible should foul play be established.
We have to consult the gods.
For the gods to do it.
And automatically the gods will reveal who has done it.
We'll bring you all that and more. Stay tuned. The family of Major Maxwell Adam Mahama, the soldier who was murdered at Dentro Boase in the Central Region in May 2017, is unhappy about the number of people being tried for the crime. They believe the state could have charged many more suspects, as seen in the video that went viral after the incident. 14 persons are currently standing trial, with state prosecutors on record to have said 13 of them are captured on tape striking the soldier. The trial judge on Monday was forced to adjourn proceedings because 5 of the individuals before the court don't have lawyers. There is more in the following report.
At the previous hearing, one of the lawyers for the accused, Judge Bernard Shaw, had assured the court of working to ensure that all 14 have legal representation. He told the court on Monday he was still working on that and remained hopeful of resolving the matter soon. The trial judge asked the 5 who are without counsel the reason for their inability to contract one. While some of them told the court they have no family members to assist them secure legal representation, others said all efforts to reach a lawyer to contract has proved unsuccessful. Family of the slain soldier made their first appearance in court, led by father of the deceased, Captain Retired Dennis Mahama, an officer from the military, and other relatives. Spokesperson of the family, Zachariah Ahmed, speaking to pressmen after proceedings, said they would have preferred if each person captured on tape during the crime would have been heard before the court rather than just the 14 persons.
Unfortunately, this is not what happened, and we cannot hold the police responsible. Our sentiments are our sentiments. The law is the law. Even though this is what we wish, the law says otherwise. Even though we saw close to 50 people, the law says it's only 14 people that will face the trial. So we will take it like that. Otherwise, we would have expected that the trial, everyone who was seen in the video should come and explain his or her presence there. That's what we would have wished.
Hearing of the matter continues on March 21.
Minister of the Interior Ambrose Jerry has rebuffed criticisms about government's decision to rope in the military as a stopgap measure to fight crime in the wake of recent armed robbery attacks. He explains the introduction of military personnel in crime combat is only a temporary measure. Comparing happenings in neighboring Burkina Faso, where gunmen launched twin attacks in the capital Ouagadougou last week, Mr. Derry said Ghana is safer. In an interview with Latif Idris, he hinted of progress made in investigations into last week's armed robbery at the Tema heavy industrial area, in which one Lebanese accountant was killed.
In the past few days, I'm happy that taxi drivers and all have come together, and the information flowing.
Is that something to encourage the taxi drivers? Hitting suspected criminals with their taxis.
I encourage collaboration between the citizenry and the police, and to keep it within the law. That's what I encourage.
The last time I spoke with you, you mentioned that the police, and for that matter, the administration, is in charge of the country's security. You receive a lot of bashing on social media. Are you really in charge?
Well, I told you we're in charge. And I believe that what has happened since shows that we have not lost control. What I couldn't tell you then was why I was confident we were in charge. If I divulged at that stage, strategies put in place to pin these people down, the criminals would have gotten away.
I've heard a security analyst mention that bringing on board the soldiers on the streets to collaborate with the police is a very dangerous decision the administration has taken. If we are not careful, we are going to experience extrajudicial killings.
No, look, let's look at it this way. We've met a situation that had collaborative effort between the police and soldiers in Operation Cowleg, in Operation Calm Life, and other situations. That per se is not bad. What we should talk against is making it a permanent feature. What has happened in the past was that because we brought in soldiers anytime there was a crisis, we did not build up the police. So anytime there's a problem, you bring the soldiers in, the soldiers bring the guns, and then they withdraw with the guns. And meantime, the police are not equipped with the guns. So we heard one police officer saying that the guns they had were 1990 guns. And so we are saying that as a transitional measure, yes, but as a permanent measure, no.
Hello again, good evening to you. Time now for business. The Ghana Workers and the Mine Workers Union is threatening a nationwide strike to register its displeasure about some workers of Takwa Goldfields who have been forced to sign redundancy letters. There were earlier reports military personnel invaded the offices of Takwa Goldfields workers, intimidating them to sign against their will. Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Gangbagbana, who spoke on the marketplace, threatened a nationwide action after deliberating on the situation with executives of the union.
Indeed, it has changed, but it has changed for the worse. Because as I speak to you now, they have actually intensified the military presence. And so to the extent that they have seen the need to increase military presence, that in itself is a clear signal that nothing has changed for the better. So it's a very worse situation as it stands now.
Now, has any worker signed or been forced to sign any letter as yet?
Well, the issue about workers or a worker to sign is a foregone matter because majority of the workers were coerced to sign. You either signed or you were thrown out of the mine premises. And that's the situation we are sitting here with.
And if you sign, what becomes of your fate?
Well, nobody can understand what contractual agreement that Goldfields is imposing on these workers. Because if you say sign a redundancy letter, and on the other breath you say sign a fixed-term contract for 1 month, and that fixed-term contract, the worker has no clue about what the terms and conditions are in that contract. What kind of employment relationship is that one? So clearly, it's a very bad situation. The employees are so frustrated. And so, I mean, you just can't understand what is going on.
Now, Vice President of the International Air Transport Association, IATA, has pegged the success of a new national carrier to sufficient capitalization and proper management practices. Ralph Kuchi attributes the woes of the defunct Ghana Airways to the lack of proper funding and poor management, among others. Sheila Tamaklo has more in this report.
Once the pride of the nation, Ghana Airways, the national carrier, halted operations in 2004 as a result of several challenges, including inadequate funding. Since then, there have been several efforts to come up with a national carrier, but to no avail. Currently, attempts are being made by the Ministry of Aviation to establish a new national carrier. 3 airlines, Air Mauritius, Ethiopian Air, and indigenous carrier Africa World Air, are deeply engaged with government for setting up a national carrier. However, the Vice President of IATA is cautioning that the right factors need to be put in place to ensure the success of such a carrier.
The root cause of all of this was undercapitalization. We had old fleets that were not efficient to operate anymore. The second element was actually government interference. You have an airline whose management and whose board were largely appointed by government. Now, in some cases, without consideration to the competencies and skills of these people to actually run an airline. Now, for you to set up another airline, you want to avoid these things. First, you want to have the right level of capital. Start small. Don't go on very prestigious routes. Every airline starts up in Ghana and it says, we want to fly to London. What is in London? The fare from Accra to Dakar is far better. The yields, the money you make on a ticket Accra-Dakar is far, far better than the money you will make on an Accra-London ticket. And that is why, for starters, the right level of capital, the right choice of equipment, the type of aircraft to fly is very important. Choose the right aircraft. Don't go and get an aircraft that is parked there by somebody and you say the person tells you it's cheap. We have an aircraft, you can come and pick it up and then pay us $250,000 every month. And you say, wow, this is a big deal. We can do business with this. At all. The third thing is get the right level of management. You need to get professionals. You need to train your people and retrain and retrain.
He was also upbeat the creation of the new airline for the country will be a major prerequisite for the establishment of an aviation hub.
In actual fact, if you want to stimulate demand for air travel in the Ghanaian market, if you want to make Ghana a hub for air travel in West Africa, you cannot do that and you can never achieve that until you have a strong home-based operator out of Accra or Ghana. Now, to that extent, the government's thinking in coming up with an airline is good.
Currently, policy approval has also been given by government to pave way for the establishment of the new national carrier. Sheila Tamaklo, Joy Business.
The Forestry Commission has begun assessing the impact of the ban on rosewood harvesting in the country. The Commission says the ban is in line with its quest to preserve forest reserves in the country. The Commission is expected to lift the ban after the assessment. Here's Ebenezer Sabuti's report.
Government in 2017 placed a ban on the harvesting, trading and export of rosewood from Ghana as a measure to prevent the depletion of the species from Ghana's forest reserves due to its high demand. Speaking after addressing a two-day conference on timber trading organized by the International Timber Trading Agency, BVRO, in collaboration with ProForest and the Ghana Forestry Commission, Deputy Chief Executive of the Commission, John Alote, noted a major assessment of the ban will help government to control its depletion.
The forest is to regenerate itself, and we need a mix of those species to maintain the ecology and biodiversity there. So then you would only be able to come back to that compartment after 40 years, so that it will allow the forest to regenerate itself. So assessment is made from time to time depending on the species, and then we grade them. We know the species that are in terms of availability are high. Some are very low. Some of them, like the rosewood, is placed in maybe in some category, and must keep an eye on it, because you don't want some species to go extinct. You don't find them, and then others will be in abundance. You want to be able to balance. So depending on the availability, then for a particular area, you determine that this one, because of the studies I've done and it has low availability, then fewer numbers should be taken.
The Commission is also partnering with BVRO to launch an online portal to give information on timber trading in Ghana. James Parker is director at the BVRO West and Central Africa.
The person who is buying the timber and placing it first on the market of this country must ensure that he's buying legal timber. And they have to do what we call due diligence. Now it has become difficult for their traders to do due diligence, because you need what we call the verification document. So what BVRO is doing is that we have developed an electronic platform where we have linked our system to Forestry Commission. So if you buy through our platform, you are sure of buying legal timber. What we have done is that all the verification document is uploaded. And we are not only doing it for Ghana. Liberia also signed a VPA Cote d'Ivoire has also signed a VPA. Cameroon has also done that. Gabon, and then Indonesia. Right now, it is only Indonesia who has gone through all the process and they are exporting fertilizers. But how can the trader know that this guy is selling legal timber to me? So what we have done is that we have an online platform. You put your product on it, we do the verification, we assist the buyer to do the checks, and then you are okay.
The two-day conference forms part of activities to open the 22nd International Trade Fair and Exhibition in Accra. Participants were drawn from Europe and other African countries.
And that's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi Riafi. Have a good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The Southern District Chief Executive Emmanuel Luis Gama says the District Security Council still does not know the cause of death of 6 people who perished after eating a corn flour meal at Akakpo Copper in the Volta region. It says pathologists are working to find out the cause of death as samples of the corn flour used in making the popular dish banku have also been sent to the Nguchi Memorial Institute for testing. Of the 6 people who died after consuming the meal is the wife of the operator of the corn mill as well as 2 of their children. Meanwhile, some family members have hinted they will resort to consulting the gods in the area on what exactly is the cause of their deaths. Here is the head of the family of the corn mill operator.
If really the result came that it is from the corn flour which has been poisoned, then we have to take all means to get who has done that. Yes. We have to consult, either we go back to the tradition, to consult the gods, I may say it, to consult the gods. And,
for the gods to do it?
And automatically the gods will reveal who has done it. Yes.
Are the gods able to do that?
Oh, exactly. I believe it.
They don't have CCTV cameras, do they?
No, at all.
So how would they be able to?
Oh, they will show us signs, and within the signs we can get it is Kojo or Ablan who has done it. Yes. And if it comes through, all the people will be marched to the God side for purification. But now, what happened now, the police cannot dictate that it is this person. Even if the person is taken to court, the court will not going to be agree on what has taken place.
So you want to go the traditional way?
Yeah, I will go the traditional way.
So going the traditional way means what? How do you get a person prosecuted the traditionally? Traditional way, how do you do it?
The God will prosecute the person.
Punish the person?
Yes, exactly. I believe on that. Really, I believe. It's from generation, so the God will punish. I believe it.
Now, sister of one of the deceased says her sister died some hours after eating the meal prepared with the corn flour.
4:30 to 5 that week, and my sister came to me and she said she's hungry, she wants to eat food, and I tell him I don't have any food. So she gave money to his daughter to buy him bread, and the daughter buy him the bread, and she ate it, and she goes to the mill, the man who ground the mill, and
that's the corn mill operator. So when was this? Thursday?
And Wednesday.
Wednesday. So you're saying that on Wednesday, your sister told you that she's hungry, and then she went to buy bread. And then later, she sent somebody to go and buy the corn flour from the corn mill operator.
She herself go. She herself go there.
So she went to the corn mill operator on Wednesday to buy the corn flour.
Yes.
Okay.
And she buy the corn flour and she go home. And she cook the food and ate it. In the morning, I was washing here.
That was on Thursday?
Yes. And she came to me and tell me her stomach is paining her. And I asked him, what did you eat? I asked her, did you take any medicine? She said she has taken liver salt. So the pain calmed down. And she goes to her house and sleep. And Friday dawn, 2:30 that way. And she came and called me and tell us that her daughter, something happened to her younger daughter. So we all came out, and my husband bring her to the hospital, and we went there.
So all of this was on Thursday?
Not.
On Friday, after eating the food. That was Thursday evening. So this time was on Friday. So when was she rushed to the hospital?
Dawn at Friday dawn, 2:30, around 2:30 a.m.
Around 2:30 a.m. But on Friday when she was rushed to the hospital, at what time did she die?
She's vomiting black water and blood.
On Friday when she was sent to the hospital, she was vomiting black water and then blood.
Yes. And the doctor said that it's not a poison. So we didn't mind that it was a poison. The doctor told us that it's a Lassa fever. And
the doctor said it was Lassa fever. Yes. That was what the doctor said.
Yes.
And that is not poison.
And the doctor wrote us some medicine to buy, and we buy it, but it's not coming down. So Sunday morning, and she died.
Well, one other resident Joy News has been speaking to says he is scared about the incident.
The moment we, the youths and the people in this village, we are feeling sad because since I was born in this village, I haven't heard of this before. I'm scared, very scared because I don't know the time it will happen to me or another person. So what I will say right now is we are pleading to the government, even if any investigators will investigate this matter to get what is going on. The person who did this, the person who are dying now are my uncle and my younger sisters and brothers. I don't know. We all the village, we are sad. Today we have many ways to do, we have places to go. But because of this, we are home. Because of this, we are home.
The opposition National Democratic Congress in the Northern Region is calling for the resignation of the Northern Region Minister Salifu Said for allegedly directing armed military personnel to set fire to equipment belonging to sand winners at the Dalong River, a tributary of the White Volta. At least 14 tipper trucks and 4 motorbikes were destroyed by the military in the raid in the Kumbungu district of the Northern Region. The NDC addressed a news conference in Tamale, from where Northern Region correspondent Hashmin Mohammed reports.
Addressing a news conference in Tamale, the National Democratic Congress said the action by the military is harsh, suggesting they could have used a better way to address the issue. Lawyer Abdul Rauf Khalid is the regional secretary of the party.
The MPP Northern Regional Minister, in consonance with Operation Vanguard, would have done themselves a great service and the owners of the tipper trucks if they had addressed themselves with Section 99.5 and Section 96.234 of the Mining Act 900, which provides for how rather this unfortunate situation could have been handled. The behavior of the regional minister is a clear manifestation of the MPP mantra of vigilantism, which is gradually creeping into their officialdom.
Lawyer Rauf Khalid also said 4 reported deaths in association with armed robbery activities at various fuel stations in the region have increased insecurity and fear among residents. He therefore asked the government to step up security in the region.
Complete breakdown of security in the region that led to the murder in the cold blood of about 4 watchmen in this region in various filling stations. It is therefore not in the interest of any citizen to sit back and watch for Ghana to be turned into a police state, all in the name of power. The region deserves better.
Meanwhile, Northern Region Minister Salih Fusai tells Joy News the Regional Security Council, of which he is the chairman, did not sanction the action of the military team that stormed the Dalung River. He said the operation was carried out by the Operation Vanguard team.
As chairman of the Northern Regional Security Council, I want to state in very concise message that RESEC didn't sanction the operation that took place at Dalung. RESEC wasn't part of the operation at Dalung that led to the burning of the tipper trucks and the excavator. The operation was carried out by the Operation Vanguard. The Operation Vanguard is a national decision.
The Sandwinners have suspended their operation in the northern region indefinitely in protest over the action by the military. Hashmin Mohammed's report for Joy News.
Abiaseman Youth Association of Brahafo region has embarked on a peaceful protest over the siting of Prang as the district capital for the newly created Pru West district. The protesters, numbering more than 100, paraded through the principal streets of Obiase amidst chants to register their displeasure. Joy News' Nestor Kafu-Ajuma witnessed the protest and reports even though it was peaceful, the youth appeared extremely angered by the president's decision to make Prang the district capital.
Led by some opinion leaders, Abiaseman Youth Association carried placards to drive home their request. Assembly member for Abiase electoral area, Emmanuel Adair, stated that Abiase was better placed with facilities to be the new district's capital.
When the legislative instrument for the creation of 38 new districts was laid before Parliament by the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, the Omanina again petitioned the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament stating reasons why Abiase should be considered as the district capital. Surprisingly, and rather unfortunately, neither the President nor the Speaker acknowledged receipt of the petition. Information reaching Abiase and for that matter, Omanhene, Nananum, the area council, and for that matter, the youth and people of Abiase indicate that the government has cited the district capital at Prime. Members of the press, indeed, if this hearsay is true, then it's very unfortunate, bias, and all an indictment of the integrity of the good people of Abiase.
Emmanuel Adair further argued Abiase's population of 78,322 far exceeds Prang's 50,000, and most of the economic activities are carried out at Abiase.
I can confidently state without any reservation that a chunk of the food crops for export comes from Abiase. The traditional area is blessed with vibrant market centers at Abiase, Zabrama, Damakwanta, Konfokum, Benin, etc. The district drives about 48% of its revenue from this market as its total revenue. On the average, Abiase traditional area alone generates over 4,000 internally generated funds on weekly basis, where as Prang traditional area contributes only 900 on weekly basis.
The youth also threatened to opt out of the new Pru West district if Abiase is not made the district capital.
If the government refuses to heed to our demands, one thing is evident. We can assure him Abiase will not be part of Pru West district with its headquarters at Prime. Assembly members in Abiase traditional area will not also participate in any activities of the district. The internally generated funds from the Abiase will not be sent to Prime if the decision remains safe.
The irate youth later presented their petition to the Omanhene of Abiase traditional area, Obrempong Kru Techi II, who promised to work on their demands. Nestor Kafi Ajumes reports for Joy News.
Authorities of the Kibi School for the Deaf are crying over unpaid government subventions for the upkeep. Authorities say they have received no government subvention for the past 3 months. Assistant Headmistress Vicentia Asem laments the situation is taking a toll on teaching and learning. And Asen Sumensa has more in the following report.
Kibi School for the Deaf began the current academic year about 6 weeks ago, but it is yet to receive grant remittance from government. State support is the school's main source of funding in addition to charity donations. School authorities tell me they have had to credit foodstuffs from local farmers to feed students. Madam Asem explains further.
For the whole time, the money will not come. Right now, as I was telling you, we are in the 6th week, but the money is still not in. So we have some understanding customers, suppliers, who gave us some items. So we'll be leaning on that or be using that until the money comes in before those customers or suppliers are being paid. And then those that doesn't come from the farm go to the stores to buy something like rice, milk, sugar, that kind of. You can go to the stores and then you buy from there. When the money comes, they can buy in abundance. For them.
The school's problems do not end there. Lack of a sick bay and congestion due to lack of space for ICT laboratory are other challenges. Madam Asem and her housemaster, Donald Wall, throw more light.
In a week, we have to bath some of them to the hospital. In a week, the bath go 4 or 5 times. And therefore, it is the desire of the school to have a sick bay with a nurse so that some of the ailments could be treated here to avoid the bath always running to the hospital with the children.
Floor is not that smooth, so it generates a lot of debt. And then the debt affects the use of the computers. That's how I look at it. So I think the teacher and they said something like an AC to be attached to the room. And then you see that the rooms are even not that spacious.
International Students Association at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has reached out to the school with food supplies. Kenechukwu Egbue is president.
It's not been easy being a student from another country, being here in Ghana, and then it's a way of also showing appreciation to all Ghanaians. And away from that, we also want to express love to the less privileged and the vulnerable in society. And so we are here to present these items to the Kibi School of the Deaf, hoping that this will be the first of many other provisions after now. We hope to maintain a relationship with this institution, and we wish them all the best.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Asensumensa.
And in the headlines, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission approves electricity tariff reduction of 17.5% for residential consumers and 30% for non-residential consumers effective March 15. Family of Major Mahama, the soldier who was murdered at Dentroboase in May 2017, wants more persons tried for the crime. As the Food and Drugs Authority awaits results of tests done on samples of corn flour believed to be linked to the death of 6 persons at the Votu Region village of Akapo-Kopa, some relatives of the deceased are threatening to resort to use of spiritual means to exact vengeance, and whoever may have been responsible should foul play be established. In business, Ghana Mine Workers Union threatens nationwide strike following what it says is the military's invasion of offices of Takwa Goldfields, intimidating workers to sign redundancy letters. An Interior Ministry hints of progress in investigations into last week's armed robbery at the Tema Heavy Industrial Area, in which a Lebanese accountant was killed, insisting government has the crime situation under control.